Good evening, my fellow sisters and brothers. Welcome to the second live virtual town hall. My name is Valery Robinson, and I'm the elected USW Local 7600 president. To my right, I have our international staff rep, Rosie Gonzalez, and to my far right, I have Vice President Liz Cuevas. I would like to start off by thanking each and every one of you for joining us this evening. I'd like to thank you for your hard work, your dedication during these unprecedented times. As you all may know, we're in the midst of a surge, and I wish you and your family to stay healthy and safe. We're going to kick the meeting off with Rosie Gonzalez talking to you about the COVID benefits.
Hello, everyone. As Val said, I will be speaking on the enhancement benefits that were given to us by the employer. And as a lot of you know, these benefits expired on June 15th. So they are no longer in place. But I want to let you all know that we are working very hard with the Alliance, talking to the employer to try to get us back onto this enhancement benefits, because we feel that we are still out there, or you guys are still out there. You're still doing the duty that you have to do to keep everybody else safe. So the Alliance has sent several letters out to the higher leadership to explain to them why we feel that these benefits should continue. As of yesterday, there was a notice that the employer came back and said that they are looking into everything we have sent, and they're taking into consideration, and they will be getting back to us on what the next steps are. I'm hoping that they will realize that these benefits should still continue, and once we get any information, we will be getting that information out to you guys.
Thank you, Rosie. Liz, you want to add anything on that?
No, we're good.
Okay. The organization allow employees to apply for a child care benefit so that they can come to work. What we have learned throughout all this is that there were several employees who applied for the benefits that did not qualify for those benefits. So we just want to share with you that you may be called in and have a meeting in regards to applying for benefits that you were not entitled to. The other thing I want to talk on, and I want to go into revamping the workforce. As many of you know, we were planning on sending people back to their home department, and many of you have gone back. The labor pool is almost diminished, but as of today, or as of this week, there's an uptake of COVID-19 patients in the hospital, and it looks like we're going up into a surge. With that being said, some employees got called today that they're being returned to the labor pool. I just want to let everybody know that when you go into the labor pool, it's by inverse seniority. At the beginning of the COVID, when everything was so fluid and everything was happening, some people may not have went into the labor pool that by inverse seniority. So we want to make sure this time around, if we send people to the labor pool, it's by inverse seniority. Anything else on revamping the workforce?
You covered it. Thank you.
Okay, good. One of the things I just want to talk about is a rumor that there's no more union. So throughout this COVID-19 pandemic, we at the Union Hall have made some changes. One, we had to practice social distancing within the local union. We cannot have as many people that we had prior to COVID-19. So we are changing the practice here in the Union Hall. We have come up with guidelines, and we're limiting the number of staff in the Union Hall. As you may not be aware, most union rep are KP employee, and KP needed help in this pandemic, and they pulled the union reps back into the labor pool to help out. But I just want to say that we do have a union that, even though the reps are working in the labor pool or helping out, you still have a union. We're here 9 to 5. Our phone number is 909-302-0000 and hit option 1. If you cannot reach a rep during business hours, you can always call the Union Hall and someone here to answer a question, file a grievance.
Yeah, I just want to add to that, to what Val has said, that the union is still here for our members. We try to handle everything, by either phone calls or, by people calling Val and Liz, but we're trying to do everyday issues as much as possible to try to handle, to make sure that we do represent our members. So it's just a different way of doing things by how we communicate, but we're still here for all of you.
One of the other things that we're looking here at the local is bringing on assistant reps to help out while the reps are out on the job. We need more people to get involved. So if you're interested in being an assistant rep, you can contact myself or Liz Cuevas. We really need more people to get involved. We have a legislation and education committee here at the local union hall that works on legislation that goes up into Congress, and it's education for our local union. We have a civil rights committee that work on human and civil rights, and we have a women of steel committee that work in the community helping others. So if you are interested in getting involved in your local union, I ask you to reach out to us so that we can help you get involved. One of the things that we have coming up is local bargaining, which is coming in 2021. And we're looking to build a communication action team. That means that we need to have somebody in each medical office, each department, as a frontline worker that can get the message out, to get the communications out to the staff in the department. So we're going to be counting on each and every one of you to get involved and to let's unite throughout this time when we go into local bargaining. I just want to also say, during this pandemic, the ways that we have been communicating with our members is through Facebook, through Instagram, our USW Local 7600 website, through text blasts, and through emails. We will not be having any union meetings until we are at a stage 4. So we'll be doing town halls moving forward. We are looking at finding a large location, whether it be in the center of all of our geographical location, to hold a union meeting. We know we have an auditorium here in Fontana that's big enough to have a meeting, but we're also looking towards Corona, Riverside, to see if there's somewhere when we're able to have union meetings where we can meet with you all. So I would like to answer a couple questions at this time that was submitted through the email address. So I'm going to go to the first question. It says, can the childcare continue at all, especially when the updates with school coming and staying? It may be a hybrid class this year. So as you know, the organization right now has said no to the childcare grant or all the COVID benefits, but we're waiting to hear back from them as whether or not they're going to reinstate those benefits. Another question, it says, our boss have not been informing us when we have been in contact with positive COVID patient. I have contacted the union hall and text with no response. What is the protocol in this situation? Is this considered workers' comp? Are we as co-workers allowed to tell each other when we have been in contact with a positive COVID patient when our bosses doesn't? Did you want to answer that question?
So yes, if you have been exposed or probable exposure to COVID-19, the organization does have a responsibility to let everyone know that you have been exposed. They are not going to tell you where the exposure came from or who is the person that is positive or probable, but they do have a right to say you have been exposed in the workplace. They then will give you the different policies and procedures and standards to follow, such as infectious control, employee health, reaching out to your primary doctor, so that you and your primary doctor, depending on your circumstances, your health, your family dynamics, what the next steps are. As far as you sharing, if the employee who is positive or probable decides they want to share with an individual, that is their prerogative. They could do that. We do caution everybody that the fact that that employee probably shared it with you does not give you the authorization to share it with others. So we caution everyone to, we kind of tell everybody not to do it, but we can't stop anybody from doing it. But just know that, that comes with consequences of people then saying that there's possibility of HIPAA violation and rumors and gossip and stuff that goes on in the departments. We have seen that. But we can't tell anybody not to share if they choose to share. We just ask everybody to be careful if they do share it, to not make it like the whole telephone line and keep passing it on, and respect people's privacy and confidentiality.
Rosie's gonna take number 3.
Okay, question number 3 is about 6 to 7 years ago was the last discussion that Ontario Medical Center clerks and techs had about working 10 to 12-hour shifts in our 24-hour emergency department. We went as far as responding to a survey conducted by union in which the majority was in favor for an alternative work schedules, but nothing ever happened. Why is our union local 7600 not responsive to what their members want? When I bring up questions to our director, I get that's above my pay grade, talk to your union president. It seems like it's back and forth between management and my union and nothing can be done.
Rosie, so can you explain the process of that and what we've gone through?
Okay, so for the union, our collective bargaining agreement does not address alternative schedules. So when that is not in the contract, that is something that has to be bargained between the employer and the union. Or if a department has requests that they would like 12-hour shifts, of course, those conversations need to be with the employer also, because there's a process to go through. But at the very end, both parties have to mutually agree upon it. As far as the emergency room, I believe it's here. Yeah, the emergency department, yes, I'm very well aware of that. This happened several years ago. We had many meetings. We had meetings with Larry Oliver in regards to all this. At the end of the day, it was not going to work for the department, and so the employer did not have an interest to go any further than that, and we cannot make the employer do what they feel is not good for their department. But we get these requests a lot of times. For some departments, it works great. Some departments may not have the staff. There are different situations why 12-hour shifts or 10-hour shifts may not work. But we did address the emergency department in this respect.
So I just want to talk about, if an employee was positive and has no sick time, what is the process for them? And can they be written up for not having sick time during attendance reviews? So I just want to let everybody know that throughout COVID, we had an agreement with the organization not to do any attendance review throughout May 31st. The company has verbally agreed not to do any attendance reviews until July 1st. For the San Bernardino service area, there is a commitment from the Attendance Oversight Committee that all attendance meeting will be exploratory conversation unless there was something that egregious that happened in the last quarter. And that is only for San Bernardino County. So for Riverside County, and if anybody from the regional area, there's no agreement at that time for exploratory conversations. So I just want to make sure that that is clear. When will KP start testing their workforce for COVID? I just want to say at this time, KP has stated we're still in low supply of testing. Even though they have tests, we're testing the people that come to the hospital, the surgery patients. If Kaiser tests you today, that doesn't mean that tomorrow you still could be positive. If you tested today and you came up negative, tomorrow you can retest and then be positive. So that test is only good for one day. I think once they ramp up more testing, we'll see maybe all employees tested. Anything you want to comment on that, Rosie?
No, I think you covered that pretty much. They focus on, especially when we started having elective surgery start slowly being done, the patients had to be tested and everything. But as of today, I don't know anything moving forward yet that the employees will be tested yet.
And I want to go back to the previous question. I don't know if I answered it. If somebody was sick and went out because they suspect they have COVID, they need to apply for workers' comp. They would utilize their sick time and they can apply for state disability. Just want to make sure that it's clear on the process, unless we're able to get the COVID benefits back. This question is, management is talking about sub-holiday being removed. How is this allowed since it's in our contract? So manager is not taking away the sub-holiday. In the past, management team has always given people an alternate day in lieu of having people apply for time off. So this year, 4th of July falls on the Saturday. The organization has made a decision to keep the clinics open, to keep everything running full course on Friday, July 3rd. With that being said, if that is your normal day to work and you're working on that day, you're gonna get an alternate day off. So if you're scheduled to work on Friday and the 4th of July is on Saturday, and Saturday is your normal day off, you will get an alternate holiday. And so that is contractual language. That is not allowing the company to do something different. That is contractual language. They've always just paid people or given people an extra day off. But they're gonna have you put in for your alternate day. The contract says that you have 90 days before and 90 days after the holiday to be granted that time off. And I will get you the language in the contract in regards to that. So if you go to page 29, paragraph 928 and 929 in the contract, it talks about designated holiday falling on an employee's day off. And it tells you the contractual language that I just went over. Thank you.
Next question says, hello, I had a question about the credits that we usually turn in once a year and receive 40 hours of pay. It seems that they're saying they can't be turned in because they have stopped it. Do you know when this started? This is news to me and I usually save them till the end of the year. So I'm assuming this employee's talking about the education 40-hour pay. That language is on page 71 of the contract, paragraph 1343. And what we've realized is that the organization has realized that there's several practices out there. I'm only going to mention a few that have stuck out to myself and Val. Is that education leave was, as this employee stated, saved to the end of the year where they get an additional check on or about December. Education leave was not meant to supplement pay or get an additional check at the end of the year. It's meant so that you are not losing hours throughout the week when you're doing your CEUs to keep your licensing up. The contract is very clear that you get paid once you turn in the certificates. The dates have to match up. We do have a meeting coming up scheduled so that we could all, with the organization, so that we can understand what their expectation is, because we do know that there's home studies out there that take several days to complete. So we are going to have some conversations with the organization on what their expectation is. But the reason that some practices have stopped is because there has been abuse out there and the education leave has been used in different manners that was not intended for those matters.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on that, we said it at the last town hall, the organization is taking all measures to save money so that they do not do layoffs this year. That's one of the reasons why the on-calls are working to their bidded shift. So if you're on call and it says you're guaranteed 20 hours, they're gonna only work you 20 hours. There may be some cases where staff is needed more than 20 hours and they'll work you. They call it really staffing to volume is what the new terminology is. The organization is staffing to volume. If the work is not there, they're not gonna schedule. You may see where they change shifts to cover the busy time. So I just want to reiterate that we're not seeing layoffs this year, only because we're trying to, Kai's trying to save money by working people to the full scope, limiting positions and not backfilling, and working people to the minimum of 20 hours. So we have a lot of work to do to make sure that Kaiser stay viable, and we help them through this pandemic because we're in a partnership.
I have a question that says, can the union help with managers putting us at high-risk situations without an operational need. For example, I don't have face-to-face contact with patients, but I'm not allowed to work from home per my manager. I would ask that individual that turned that question in to please contact the union rep of your department. If you're not getting an answer or response from that rep, please feel free to contact the union hall at the number that Val provided. I'll provide it again, 909-302-0000, and press 1. And anybody at the hall can help you and assist with that individual manager. Going home through this epidemic is case by case. So it's not a question I could just, answer and make it a general question. It's case by case depending on the department, the equipment, the manager, and the type of work that you do. So we would like to hear more from that individual. So feel free to call the union hall and we can discuss more off the record on your question.
One of the things that I don't know if we have a question for, but I really want to talk on is safety, you guys, workplace safety. I was out there and got an opportunity to visit the COVID tent. And I know that in some areas it's hot. You guys have a lot of equipment on. I would ask each and every one of you, demand that you have the proper equipment. That is the only time that you have a right to refuse if you feel that your work environment is not safe. We are looking at trying to make sure people have water. Spoke to someone today, they wanted ask for Gatorade, that there's air condition. Because of CDC guidelines, the tests have to be done outside, because I asked them to look on bringing the test inside, and that's what I was told. Also, just make sure that you guys are wearing the proper mask, that people are wearing their masks. We really need to take this virus serious because more and more people are getting affected.
I have a question that says, who is required to float to cold zone swabbing? Is it all on-callers and regular full-time staff that are not in the labor pool? If you're in the labor pool, obviously it's not by seniority, as the majority of you who have experienced the labor pool. When you go in there, you're given an assignment. We do, as Val say, hope that the labor pool managers in charge are rotating people now with the heat and the different elements out there. We would hope that the workflow would be rotated out. I know that they're a little more positional on the actual testing tents, try to minimize exposure. They keep an X amount of staff there that are trained to do those swabbings. But if there's issues or concerns, I encourage you guys again to use calling the rep or calling the union hall so we can address those individuals that are having those specific issues at those specific sites. It's not just a question that could be, answered in a general answer. It's depending on the situation. So please feel free to call the union hall so that we can assist further on that question.
I gotta repeat this again. The union is here 8:30 to 5, Monday through Friday. So if you're not able to get a hold of your reps and it's an urgent issue, you should call the union hall at 909-302-0000 and hit option 1, and someone will help you. If it's something that you want your rep to do for you, then you need to leave your message with your rep, and your rep will get back to you at their earliest convenience. It may not be the same day, it may be the next day. We at the union hall are changing our workflows to make sure that we're practicing social distancing. So more to come on the changes that we're making within the union. Can we create an LVN CAT team? We're in the process, as you guys know, of updating all of our technology. We've gone on to all the different websites, like our website, Instagram, Facebook. We're building up a communication team where we can just communicate with certain classifications like the LVN. And you're going to see more of this probably in the next couple of months as we build a CAT team for bargaining. So just stay tuned for that. I have another one. When we started giving positions to the new grads, we're going to school. Kaiser's paying for us to go to school to become RNs. So we go for LVN or RN, but we can't get a job within our organization where we work. When will Kaiser start promoting us for going to school and getting our education? Are you guys able to advocate for us, please? I hate to go to work somewhere else when I love KP. So I just want to be transparent. Kaiser had a new grad RN program. That's the only way that you can get into Kaiser as a new grad RN is through the program unless you have experience. If we didn't say it, one of the things I just want to say for next year, we are looking at possible layoffs with KP because we don't know the impact of the financial loss for KP, the membership loss for KP. And so we could see people lose their jobs next year. But of course, we have a great union that fight for individuals' job. We have income protection and we have seniority and we have language in our contract. So I just want to say with that, I don't know about how many new jobs will be coming along for RN with everything that we have faced for next year.
Next question, are we required to submit a tort for a legal paid holiday for July 3rd if we work Monday through Friday? So just for clarification, July 3rd is not a legal paid holiday. The holiday is July 4th, which falls on a Saturday. We have different areas of the hospital and clinics. Some clinics are choosing to work full force like the ORs. Some clinics are choosing to work skeleton crew, which is like minimal staff. And some areas are just working full force. So you're going to see different practices, different sign-in sheets depending on where you work. The July 3rd sign-up sheet is for skeleton crew, and the July 4th, of course, is if you want that time off. You do not get paid on the July 3rd. If you choose to put in for that day and get it off, you will be using your personal time as far as vacation and life balance. It is done by seniority, just like any tort request, but you will see it in two different ways, a tort request or the sign-up sheet, depending if that clinic is open or closed or working on a skeleton crew. If you need further clarification on that, again, I will encourage you to reach out to your rep or call the union hall at the numbers provided.
This one said, if there's layoff due to COVID, how will they be based on seniority training or how would it be determined? So normally when we do a reduction in force, there's language in the contract. We need to first understand what Kaiser interest is in any reduction in force. We do know that there's multiple classification in different departments. And so we would sit down and meet with them. And based on their needs, we would look at the big picture, but we always do reduction in force with inverse seniority. That means from the bottom up. And so there's like a process where we sit down and we look to find jobs in other departments, or you have return rights for up to 2 years. But we would actually, the union would sit down with the seniority committee and with the company, and we would finalize a process and communicate to each and every department that is affected if there is a layoff.
Next question, has anyone else not gotten their 120 annual sick leave hours on their anniversary date? The union is not aware of any delays of accrual time on your anniversary date. If you are experiencing that, again, you need to call the union rep or call the union hall and we can assist you with that because there is no delay on any accruals on your anniversary date for your sick. Everything should be, the day that you're supposed to get it. But there are some contractual language on why there could be a delay, such as you were out more than 60 days and your accrual date may change. So again, it's case by case. Feel free to call the union hall or your rep.
What is the status of the labor pool? Is it being dismantled with the spike in COVID patients and the departments are in full operation? We were in the process of dissolving the labor pool, sending everybody back to their home department. And as many of you may know that we are seeing a surge. Now, it's not like a surge like this. It's really like 10%. I think last week was 8% cases in the hospital and they've increased to 10%. So we did get a call from the organization today. They do not have enough staff members to work in the labor pool. And so they're looking to start, actually they reached out to the management team to see if they didn't have a need to bring people back into the labor pool. So by inverse seniority, some of you may go back into the labor pool.
Next question. Hello, I have a question. Do you know if I can volunteer to go back into the labor pool? My admin says no, I want to ask you guys. So at the beginning, before surge number 2 that hit us suddenly, The labor pool was going to be dismantled. Now we see that it may start all over and we may have a labor pool again. I don't see why you can't tell them that you would like to volunteer. But again, the union this time around, because we are seeing it coming versus the first time where we didn't see it coming, we are going to be positioned about it being by inverse seniority. That means bottom up. So bottom up will be displaced from their area and put in the labor pool, because as we all know, the labor pool does not guarantee you shift preference, days off, and start times. But I don't see a problem with you saying, hey, I'm okay with that, it works for me, I'll go if, and somebody else can stay behind. Again, it's going to be the operational needs, staffing needs to the department that's running versus the labor pool.
So I really want to answer this question. It says, are employees and supervisors required to still wear masks? Staff are relaxing. I just want to reiterate, you guys, is this virus, there's still a lot of unknowns. We are required to still wear masks. I was on a call the other day and they said a lot of staff members are just coming in without their masks. We need everybody to comply with the rules, the organization. If you're coming to Kaiser and that's employees and patients, you are required to wear a mask. And I can't stress how important it is so that we can stop the spread of the virus, that everybody wear your mask, please.
Next question, what are the COVID-19 screeners directed to do if employees answered yes to any of the COVID-19 questions? We feel as though employees with symptoms are coming through. It's my understanding that if any of those questions are answered yes, there's a process that needs to happen, and the employees are not allowed in, as well as the members are not allowed in if they're having any of the symptoms. If that is not correct, can that individual that sent that question please call me directly at 909-202-0064. That is my cell phone, so that we can talk specific to the location and area in which this is occurring.
I'd like to answer this question here. This person says, I work in the call center. Do we have any questions on when we will return to the call center? We received an email where it was pushed out to at least July 31st, and we were recently advised that work from home program may be open. I am concerned about returning as we sit in close proximity to one another. Also, if childcare options is available, will they make it so that it's available to employees who are working from home? I am still having to send my child away from home in order to ensure proper working environment. And I'd like to thank this person for asking this question. Yes, that is correct. The call center employees and staff have been pushed out to continue to work from home. We met with the manager over at the call center, and they do have an interest of sending more people home now, but they will follow the guidelines that was in place prior to COVID. So more to come on that. As far as the childcare options go, when we went to the table to bargain the childcare, the enhancement benefits for staff, we fought to try to get that for employees working from home. Unfortunately, we were not successful. I mean, we even after they put the agreement out and said no, we went back to the table and asked them to reconsider. But that was one of the benefits that we were unsuccessful in getting for our members.
Question, is this still admin pay if employee has to be quarantined at home while waiting for COVID-19 results? The answer is no. If you have to be quarantined at this time, you must use your own time. If you're off more than the 7 days, then you can apply for disability. Again, if it's contracted at the job or you feel it has, you can also file that workers' comp, but in the meantime of that, you must use your own time or apply for disability. Another question is, with reductions of 20 hours for all callers, it will be an exception to have more than 20 hours per week with those with special training that is needed when departments are short. Some departments through labor pool have been asked to stay for OT. The 20 hours, any additional hours outside of the 20 hours that an on-caller receives is done by seniority per the contract. It's not done by special training. The labor pool should not be offering overtime unless, of course, they have a large amount of call-offs, they don't have enough screeners. A good example is today, they did not have enough screeners, temp checks, runners, and they had to close certain entrances down, so I can see overtime being offered today. That should be the exception, not the norm. Any hours outside the 20 for on-callers, all on-callers in 7600 should be done by seniority.
Here's a great question. Official policy on backfilling. What is official policy on backfilling? In this specific situation, we had multiple full-time employees on medical leave since March and multiple on-call employees who have left the department and taken other positions within the department since May. I understand the new concept of filling the volume. However, are those hours vacated by the full-time employees who are on medical leave contractually obligated to be filled? In other words, should the most senior on-caller who's currently only getting 20 hours be given 40 hours and so on down the line until full-time hours that have been backfilled? In addition, the hours that have been vacated by the on-call employees who have left the department or taken other position, also contractual obligation to be filled. So we do have language in the contract on backfilling full-time position when somebody is out for a certain period of time. Unfortunately, due to COVID and everything that's going on, as I stated earlier, the organization is not backfilling jobs in order to not lay people off. With that being said, there is position enhancement control where the management team can submit for the backfill of that position. But it's a tedious process and it's going to the highest of the organization to see if they're going to approve that position. So managers still can backfill jobs, but there's just really position control as far as backfilling. On-callers, if there's a need in the department to work additional hours because somebody is off, the company should be utilizing that on-call and giving them more hours. You should not be working short in your department. And when I say short, I mean understaffed. What the organization has done in a lot of the areas where they're practicing social distancing is they have not brought the clinics up to full capacity. In some clinics, some employees only seeing 4 patients an hour, and yet they're doing TAVs. So with the TAVs, I'm not sure the number of TAVs off the top that they're doing, but it's not back to the volume where we were prior to COVID. So some areas have gone with the LVN or the MA, maybe working with 1 MA, 1 LVN with 2 doctors, 2 providers. As the work wrap up, the staff should wrap up. If any department is overwhelmed and feel like this is just too much, what we're doing, you guys need to reach out to your union rep so we can meet with the organization, find out what's going on and see how we can help you to backfill any open position or get the work done.
Next question. I have worked for Kaiser Riverside for 23 years and have been able to take time off with no pay. Sometimes another person wants to pick up my shift and I don't want to use vacation or life balance. And it's never been a problem because the unit is covered and the person that needs to get time off gets it and I get my time off. I don't understand why it's a problem for the manager or staffing to approve. I was told it came from the union. If it's been done like this for years, doesn't it set a precedence? Why fix what's not broken? If it's been this way for years, it's obviously that isn't a problem. Thank you. You know, the union's been accused of a lot of things, that we say a lot of things. I don't think anybody here in this office that you can see on the screen has been against PTO time. The contract speaks to PTO. Do you have the language on there? How many PTOs you get, and we're gonna look up the language for you. It's up to manager's discretion. You get X amount of time. I believe it's 5 times in the year, but Valerie will confirm that.
Yes. So on page 60 of the contract, paragraph 1323 speaks of personal time off. It says commencing on the first day of employment where circumstances warrant an employee may request and may receive personal time off without pay for a short period of time not to exceed 5 working days. So it says such request shall not be unreasonable denied. It is on page 68 of the contract, paragraph 1323 and paragraph 1324.
So if you are getting denied for your PTO because the union said, again, I encourage you to call your union rep and be specific on what manager or staffer is saying that, so that that issue can be addressed.
I do want to say that throughout all of this, on the med group side, the company wanted to talk with us in regards to KTO. Officially, we do not have any language on KTO. What I know is that in different areas, KTO is done differently. Some do it rotating, some do it volunteer. There's all these different practices. What I have asked the organization is that if we're gonna start doing KTO, then I would like to make sure that the practice is consistent in every department and that we're doing it the same all around. Even though we have a hospital in Riverside, we have a hospital in Ontario, we have a hospital in Fontana, and we have all these outlying clinics, we are one USW Local 7600. We are not Riverside, we're not Regen, we're not Fontana, we are the United Steelworkers Local 7600. We are one union and practices should be done the same. The answer is on a 12-hour shift, you get at least 3 breaks. When is it too late to take a lunch in a 12-hour shift? Thank you. I think the rules still apply on a 12-hour shift. You must take your lunch by 5.5 hours. One thing that in a 12-hour shift, employees are entitled to a second meal period, 2 30-minute lunch, but most people wait that 30-minute lunch. So you do get your first lunch 5.5 hours into your shift. Should we be advised if a coworker tests positive for COVID-19? So what I want to say is that the company cannot tell you Rosie tested positive for COVID-19. They can share with you there's been a possible, you may be possibly exposed. What happens when an employee is positive for COVID-19, that employee should contact employee health or infectious control so that they can go back, do a contact tracing on everybody that you came in contact with. Through that contact tracing, if you were exposed, then they're going to notify you. But I think just overall general, the organization should let you know that there was a positive employee in the department, but they just can't tell you who that employee is.
This one again is on backfilling short staff, 20 hours on callers. Says since our callers are only getting their 20 hours to have Kaiser, so the clinic has 2 full-time positions and 1 is off on vacation, can the staffer only put 1 full-time and 1 half-day on caller? Example, 1 works 8:15 to 4:45 and the other works 9 to 5:30. Again, with the epidemic going on and the company taking the position of using the contract of on-callers could be working a minimum of 20 hours, the answer would be yes, they can do that. But again, we also use the language of staffing to volume. So if you feel that there's more work and there's staff that needed to be there to supplement the work, then again, please reach out to your union rep so we can deal with that issue, that case in regards to the staffing need for that department. There are some areas that, per the contract, backfilling is backfilling if jobs are open, but that's not the case right now because the organization is really trying to, and the union, stay away from having to do layoffs by doing backfills for jobs that at this point with the TABs and the different type of members that are not coming in and stuff like that, to avoid any layoffs, they're not backfilling at this time.
And I just want to go over something one more time, the rumors that there's no more union. So the Riverside employees that are on this call, in Riverside, when there was a surge back in March, I think Vita Willett had a conversation with several reps in regards to helping out in the labor booth, because we were not doing any meeting, no LMP, no Weingart meetings. And I think at that time, the ones that were contacted volunteer. I also had a conversation with the reps if they were needed, would they go back and help out? And they said yes. So at that time, the company demanded that they report to work, and which all of the employees did. And I just want to thank each and every one of them for helping out in the search and helping the patients and stepping up on behalf of this local union. With that being said, we have changed some of the ways we have done business. We're doing business during this pandemic. We have reps that are on the job working. They're still doing Weingarten meetings. If you need a rep, you need to call their phone. If they're not available, then you call the union home. We are looking for assistant reps, and we're developing a process to get more people involved with the union. So we'll send out a text blast and we'll post information on our website. So if you ever wanted to say, hey, I want to be a rep, or I want to get involved with the union, now is the opportunity for you to get involved. We need your help more than ever. At this time, there was no more questions submitted. We thank each and every one of you for submitting your questions. Again, I want to remind you, this is our second town hall. This is not the way we normally do business. This is what we're doing to supplement while we're not able to have a union meeting. I just want to thank you again for joining. And as we go along, we'll get better with these. This is our second one. Thank you for joining tonight. Is there anything anybody else want to say?
Right now, I'm gonna have Joe close our meeting with a few words.
Come on, Joe.
Sit here.
Come on, Joe. Come on over.
You tell them about the website and everything.
Thank you, Joe.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Joel Maya, contract specialist. I want to thank everyone for your attendance. It's greatly appreciated. It shows unity and solidarity within our union, which we definitely need to grow and build upon, especially because we have 2021 bargaining coming up. So again, thank you very much. Just want to talk to you about our social media. We have Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. All of those you can find by searching USW 7600. So you would do like facebook.com/USW 7600. The same for Instagram and the same for YouTube. Our website is constantly updated with relevant information to COVID-19 and relevant information that pertains to work, to KP, to the community. Sometimes we have events. We recently had an event commemorating those who have lost their lives, and we had 5 politicians show up. And so to receive those kinds of updates, I ask that you send a text message to 77820 and text the word action. It's a way that we can contact you in case we have an event where we need your voice or we need you to stand with us. Our general text blast, if you want to just subscribe to our general text blast, which is how a lot of you got the information about tonight, you would send a message to the same phone number, 77820, and instead of writing action, you would write USW 7600. That will subscribe you to our general text blast. Also, I recommend that you subscribe to our email distribution list because, for example, I don't know if you guys all received the email, but there was an email sent out on Monday advising about this town hall. And so if you want to subscribe to our email distribution list, you would go to usw7600.org and you'll see a spot right there to enter your email address. Thank you all very much. Valery, Liz, Rosie, I want to thank the 3 of you for the wonderful work that you are doing. And I just want to tell everybody, let's stay strong, let's stay united. Steel strong, everybody. Steel strong. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe, for everything.
All right, everyone, stay safe out there and please do not hesitate to contact us if you need further assistance. We're here for you to serve you. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.